During this video, we're introducing you to the 5 main types of interview question that you're likely to come across. For each of these types, we've recorded a student attempting the question as a before video, and then having given them some coaching and some top tips, which we're going to share with you, giving the opportunity to have another go, so the after video. So John, just looking at the job description for this interview, one of the key skills that is absolutely essential for somebody in this role is the ability to work under pressure and cope when in stressful situations. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to do that?
Yeah, obviously I play a bit of rugby, so do that all the time. Basically every week, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The competency question, also known as the behavioural or situational interview questions. This is probably the most common type of question, and it's used to test out both technical and soft transferable skills. It's probably the easiest type to prepare for in a way. Employers use this type to assess your skills or competencies based on past behaviour. There'll be a list of around 6 or so competencies which are set out in the job description, or perhaps the company's career pages, that you will have identified when you were making your application. Common ones include things like problem solving, team working and organisational skills. Commercial awareness is ubiquitous on the main popular grad schemes for banking and consultancy in particular. With the competency question, preparation is absolutely key. So some examples include: tell me about a time when you've had to adapt your communication style to achieve a goal. Please give me an example of when you have to deal with a team member who wasn't delivering. Describe the approach you've taken to developing your commercial awareness. Tell me about a time when you've showed integrity and professionalism. So why do recruiters ask these questions? Well, they're popular as they make it easier to compare lots of candidates, and they're based on the premise that past behaviour is an indicator of potential performance in this role. So as such, they're easy for the recruiter to prepare for and to mark, as they'll be looking for a specific set predetermined criteria. And hopefully it should be easier to prevent accidental favouritism or even discrimination, as the questions are so structured and tied to the corporate values and behaviours. So, having said that preparation is key, how do you go about tackling a competency interview? In advance of the interview, analyse what competence the employer has specified in the advert. Then identify a selection of examples of situations or scenarios which you can use to showcase your expertise in these competencies. You don't necessarily need a very long list of these scenarios. If you choose well, one scenario can demonstrate more than one competence, but I would definitely recommend that you choose scenarios from across the range of your academic, work, voluntary experience and other sides to your life, such as sport or university societies. It's important that your examples have enough complexity in them to stand up to potential searching, follow-up or challenging questions, but to not be so complicated that the competence gets lost. The most important thing to remember is to use a structured approach to tackling this question, and you may well have heard about the STAR model. It's tried and tested, and it's a great way to ensure that you showcase your competence effectively. So what does STAR stand for? So the S is the situation or the scenario. Here you briefly give background to the situation. The task was the task in hand. What was the purpose or objective? A is for action. So what did you actually do and how did you do it? Note that I say you. This is all about your performance and your competence. Don't slip into the trap of talking about we, even if it was a team effort. You need to identify what was your particular contribution. And finally, result. What was the outcome? Real facts and figures can be very persuasive. What were the reasons for your success? It's the R which often gets missed in my experience, and candidates often sort of fizzle out at the A stage. And it's a shame, because if you can really end on a high with that R, it can be a really impactful, lasting memory of your answer to that question. And it can be even better if you add another R on, which is the reflect. So what are your reflections on what happened and what you did? And perhaps what would you do differently next time? This demonstrates a good degree of self-awareness and being up for self-development and improvement. What's so brilliant about STAR in an interview situation is more or less everybody's nervous, and it's a great mental map to steer you through a really explicit answer to a competence question. You can use it in your head as a sort of checklist to ensure that you don't go off-piste and absolutely nail the answer. While watching this after video, see if you can notice how the candidate is applying some of the tips we've given you. See also if you can identify how they could do even better. And finally, ask yourself what you would do differently if you tackled this or a similar question. Right, so one of the key competencies that we're looking for in this role, John, is the ability to cope well in stressful situations. So can you tell me about the time when you've had to do that, please?
Yeah, I think personally the most stressed I've ever been was the last couple of months of my high school career. I had my international baccalaureate approaching and I had the European Championships for rugby. I was supposed to go captain Germany under-18s, so I had to sort of combine the two. And while I was away on these camps, I think I managed to combine the studying, which I needed for my international baccalaureate, and the rugby playing and leadership aspect of it, by being able to adapt and sort of categorise the two for myself. So when I went away to play rugby, I was 100% focused on rugby, didn't think about work, played rugby to the best of my ability, and then did the same regarding work when I had breaks to go and work. And I think the outcome of that was very, very positive. I got what I wanted in my IB. I achieved very well, and we came third in the European Championships, which is the best Germany under-18s I've ever done. So I was really proud of my achievement, and I think I handled it quite well.
Here are some more examples of students attempting this type of question. Again, see how far they use the tips that we've given you to make it an effective answer, and think again about how you would do it differently. So can you give me an example of a time where you've really had to adapt your style so that you could build relationships?
So this year I've been doing a master's at Bath University, and it's the first time where I've really had an international course where most people come from completely different backgrounds. And I was put in a group where I had one Indian person, a lady who had come from a job in renewable energy and has now come back to university, and another guy from Italy, and we all came from completely different backgrounds, and I was suddenly put into a position where everyone had a completely different view on the outcome of what our project should be, and I'm very used to taking a leading role in this. However, this time I took a step back and listened to what everyone had to say, and in the end we negotiated and came to a compromise, and I actually learnt quite a lot about my point of view and how it can be quite biased based on where I'm from.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to explore more about interview skills, there's loads more information on the resources section of My Future, including more videos of interviews and examples of other types of questions. Don't forget, you can always contact us in the Career Service if you want more information or help. We also run regular interview practice sessions where you'll be given individual feedback about your approach.